November 2026, people going to go to the polls. It's not just the midterm elections for Congress, but you've also got a slew of state Senate seats. You've got members of the Illinois House running for their 2-year terms, but you've also got the gubernatorial elections, which includes other statewide offices like treasurer, comptroller, attorney general, and many of them, it's the same one going into the next election. Governor Pritzker running for re-election. You've got Attorney General Kwame Raoul in the AG's office, but he could have a challenger. Joe Cervantez. Talked with him yesterday. He's a Republican, and we chatted about his background, his legal background, and some of the initial top-level ideas that he has about the Illinois Attorney General's office. So here is just some of the conversation I had with Joe Cervantez, Republican Illinois Attorney General candidate.
Well, first off, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I am an attorney in Southern Illinois right now. I'm actually from Lake County. I was born and raised until I was 10 years old in Waukegan, Illinois. And I spent much of my youth in Lake County, and Cook County, and DuPage, and I grew up there. I came down to Southern Illinois in my early 20s to go to Southern Illinois University, and I joined the Marines from here. So by default, it became my home, because it was my home of record for the military. So they always shipped me back to Carbondale, Illinois, and I settled down here. I've been down here ever since. For the last 25 plus years.
Now, he's also got an extensive history as an attorney, doing all kinds of different work, and even as an elected official. He discusses some of his background there as well.
First, I think it's important to mention, I joined the Marine Corps at the right time, I think, for me. In 97, I joined the Marine Corps Reserves, got a little help with tuition and went to Southern. And then shortly after 2001, I started with the Marine Corps deploying overseas as an infantryman. So I served as a platoon leader, a platoon sergeant in Iraq. Went over in 2003 and 4, and then later on in that same decade. So that formed, I think, what I wanted to do later on. When I got back from working as a contractor in Afghanistan, I started law school in 2010. So I had no idea what I was going to do with my law degree. I just knew that I wanted a platform to be able to work with people, advocate for people, and work in my community. And so my first job was as an assistant state's attorney in Williamson County. Worked my way up and prosecuted all the usual dockets. Got some great trial experience. I then moved to Saline County. I worked as a juvenile prosecutor in Saline County, and really, I think that moment really changed what I was going to do for my career. I enjoyed the policy behind the juvenile docket, trying to seek and locate resources for the juveniles that are involved in the criminal justice system. I started a law firm, and I did a lot of defense work before I ran for state's attorney in Jackson County in 2020. Actually started my campaign in 2018, but I was sworn into office in Jackson County in 2020.
And why run for Attorney General? It's a statewide office. It's controlled by a Democrat. Why run for AG? Question I had for Joe Cervantez.
I really can see now in retrospect the evolution of my career, starting off as an assistant state's attorney and seeing things that definitely could be improved, whether it's actual procedures in the courtroom and in the courthouse, whether it's legislative changes that need to happen to better serve the people of the community, or if it's just the people involved. But there were a lot of changes that could be made. And the more I worked in the system, the more it became, a part of me. And so it was important to to eventually run in the county that I believed needed the most changes. I was the first Republican elected in that county in almost 70 years. And so I was coming in, all eyes were on me, and they wanted to see if I could do the job. I was really more of a trial attorney that loved criminal justice reform and was dedicated to trying to change the system for the better. And I was tested. I mean, we went through COVID, and our criminal justice system couldn't just stop during COVID. It took a lot of management and a lot of leadership, to get through that. And the state's attorney's offices, they're the crossroads of our communities, and so all eyes again were on me. And then the Safety Act came into effect. And again, our criminal justice system can't stop. But I was just absolutely opposed to this bad legislation, and we can't stop the process. So we challenged it, but at the same time, we had to start getting ready for it and implement it. And so I think I wasn't initially interested in politics. I was interested in being the chief law enforcement officer of the county. And I think that's important. I didn't start off to be a politician. I started off to be one of our leaders in the community. And somewhere along the way, having to make those decisions, those calls, and being in that position, I think I saw that if you do it the right way, if you are honest, you maintain your integrity, your character, and if you just try to make the right decisions as they come to you, you can really affect change at a local level. I started, I think, becoming interested in serving the public. And after my term as state's attorney, I just felt like I wasn't done yet.
I'm sharing with you a conversation I had with Joe Cervantez. He's a Republican running for Illinois Attorney General. This is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and resetting because the live stream cut off, even though I'm doing this live early so that I can go to the airport to get out of town for a summit that I'm exclusively covering with the Center Square. The live stream stopped, so I restarted it, and here we are with the second live stream this morning. But more from Joe Cervantez. Again, this is why we record segments locally, so you'll be able to get the entire segment uninterrupted, and you'll be able to get the podcast uninterrupted. But I appreciate those coming back, especially as I'm starting this early on a Friday, and typically we go at 8 o'clock, but I started at about 7 o'clock. Either way, totally off track here. But let's get back to Mr. Cervantez, Republican candidate for Illinois Attorney General. And I asked him what the role is for the Attorney General, right? You've got all kinds of things that he does, the office does, and from child support to public access of information to defending the states and such. But it looks like the Attorney General, that's independently elected from the governor, at least during the Pritzker administration, has really seemed to have just been the governor's attorney. If the governor is sued, the Illinois Attorney General comes in and defends the governor. I think that some may say that the Attorney General needs to be more independent. So what exactly is that role of the AG, Joe Cervantez, wanting to take over that role as a Republican?
It's odd that not too long ago I was reading a blog, and there was a comment on there that said that they were familiar with me, that they were a Democrat, and they thought that I was always fair and would be a good candidate. The next comment was from a former aide of one of our elected leaders in the state, and she went on a rant about how the position is there to challenge President Trump. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I believe that the position is there for one reason, to protect the public. I don't believe that it's a political position. It's much like a state's attorney's office. In the county, I told people all the time, this is not about politics. It's about public safety. But yet we play politics to put the people in place. And so I think that the office needs to be concentrated on public safety and not arguing in front of the Supreme Court just for policy reasons or for party reasons. Now, does that mean that you don't argue those cases in front of the Supreme Court? I think it's important to be able to take a step back and look at what the most probable outcome is, and if it's the proper use of our state's resources. I believe that at this point we're challenging everything that our administration, the president's administration does, and I don't think that that's the best use for the office. We need to be connecting our state's attorneys' offices together. We need to be working better with local and federal law enforcement agencies, and we need to be concentrated on public safety.
All right. So, final words here from Joe Cervantez, Republican running for Illinois Attorney General. We're going to have more conversations with him likely. There's a lot of other races that we'll be watching, but we don't know all of the names of who is actually running. They're getting their nominating petitions signed. They have to file those starting late October into the first week of November, and that's when we're really going to find out who's going to be on the ballot. So Joe Cervantez announcing out there, doing all of the stuff he has to do with paperwork, getting it filed, getting the signatures and such. But he talks about how the politics of the party shouldn't dictate how the attorney general operates. And he says that it seems that that's kind of what's happened with the current office holder for the Illinois attorney general.
Well, I think it's important to note that, sometimes your party politics, sometimes they align with the policies that the legislature put into place, and sometimes they align with the law, and sometimes they don't. And so I think when you have that role as the chief legal officer of the state, I think it's important to be able to stand up sometimes, and every once in a while, probably more so than not. Your party politics is going to align with the law, and you're going to be able to see an outcome beforehand and know whether to put the resources forward in that fight. Other times you have to be able to stand up and let the party know, listen, this is not about the party. This is about what the law is. And this is about protecting the people of the state of Illinois. And sometimes that means bringing a case in front of the Illinois Supreme Court. And sometimes that means not bringing the case. But I think it's important to have somebody that will stand up and explain the difference between those two things.
And one other question I had for him was, as of right now, Democrats control the state legislature. They have supermajorities in the House and the Senate at the Illinois General Assembly. They also control every statewide office: governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, comptroller, treasurer, secretary of state. Every statewide office is held by a Democrat. It's been that way for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years or so. Is that good for a state, or should there be some balance in those statewide constitutional offices?
Yeah, so triplexes in states, they tend to fail the people. I think when you have a triplex, meaning the governor's office, the secretary of state's office, and the attorney general's office, I think it's easy to kind of go unseen by the public, and the attorney general's office tends to start being a tool of the governor, a political tool of the governor. I think we've had the similar office since before Lisa Madigan was the attorney general. I don't think much has changed, and I really do think, and this is just based on my observations as an attorney in Illinois, and as an elected state's attorney. But I really do think that the attorney general's office has turned into a function that can be best described as the lawyer for the political party that's in power, and we've got to change that. We've made those changes down in Jackson County, and I think that we can do it statewide.
Again, that's Joe Cervantez, a Republican running for Illinois Attorney General. The primary is March 17th. Will there be other Republicans jumping into the primary? Not sure. We'll be watching who files. But of course, after the primary, you've got the November election for the midterms and the gubernatorial election as well. And we'll keep you posted on all of this and more at thecentersquare.com.